Hey everybody, this is Jen from Jen Geigley Knits, and today is November 23rd, which means it's the beginning of our Simple Sweater Knit-Along, and I thought I would cast on with you guys today simultaneously. This video, just so you know, is not as good or as thorough as my Simple Sweater Knit-Along videos that are made for this sweater. They're very thorough. I made them when I was paying attention to the pattern in depth, like every tiny little thing. So I really recommend watching those instead. But I do want to knit with you, just like have a fresh video where we can get started together and I can help you with the setup rows and then show you how we connect in the round for the neck. This sweater is a top-down raglan knit in chunky yarn, so it goes quickly and you can see what you're doing a little bit easier. And it's super simple, super fun, super fast, but there's no rush. There's no deadline. You can take these videos at your own pace and watch them whenever you want to. I'm gonna link everything below in the show notes because I have an entire playlist that takes this teeny, every little step of the way. So you're not confused at any point in the pattern. You will have directions for the whole thing. But I will cast on with you today just because it's fun and I'm gonna make a sweater as well. And so let's do this together. Let's make some sweaters. Go ahead, get your yarn. Get a size US 11 needle. I have a 16-inch for the neck part, which is smaller, and then I have a bigger one for the body ready to go, and you can do interchangeables, whatever. Just like to have it all set up. And then you're gonna wanna grab, these are so slippery, 4 little stitch markers and get one in a different color, pretty please, because you have to mark the beginning of your row and it will be nice to know where you're at as you start connecting everything in the round. So go get those supplies and then let's get started. Just a few quick tips before we get started. When you grab your 4 stitch markers and one with a contrast color, make sure they're big enough to go over your needles. Some of them are too small for a size 11 needle. These happen to be just fine, but if you can't find any, you can totally use scrap yarn that works just as well, and you can make 4 little circles with one in a different color. Also, maybe grab a highlighter and highlight your size in the directions throughout the pattern if you have a printed copy, just to kind of keep track of your numbers. I'm going to be using my own numbers as I make this video, so ignore my numbers, use your size directions. And you can also often highlight a PDF on your laptop or tablet. That works really well too, just to kind of keep track of where you are and keep track of your size and numbers. Next, you're going to make a gauge swatch, and it's super important. And I know it's a step that most people like to skip, but if you want your sweater to fit well, it's really important that you just take a little time to do this. And with this yarn, it won't take long at all. Just knit up a 6-inch square in stockinette stitch, and then we're going to look at your stitches per inch. We're going to count the V stitches across, and then we're going to look at the rows vertically, the V stitches going up and down. You're going to count how many stitches per inch, and then you're going to count how many rows per inch in your swatch. The gauge for this pattern is 11.25 stitches across and 17 rows for every 4 inches. So check your gauge and make sure that you're on track for that, and then we will be ready to cast on. So I'm gonna find my yarn end. I love this color, it's the best. And to have a simple sweater in this color is gonna be really fun, I think. I'm gonna use the long tail cast on, which is my favorite, but you can use whatever you want. And we're gonna cast on our first row of stitches. We're gonna make a slip knot. For my size, that's gonna be 30 stitches. So I have my 30 stitches, and then with my tail, I like to tie it in a little bow just so I'm not tempted to accidentally use it. It's kind of annoying while you do the first rounds, but then it's out of the way at least, and then you're not gonna grab it instead of the yarn that's connected to your ball. Then we're gonna straighten out our stitches so they're not twisted around, but we are not going to join in the round. We are gonna knit flat for a little while to shape the neck. For the size I'm working on, I'm going to purl 1 then place a marker, and I'm going to purl 4. For the right sleeve and place a marker. We're going to save our different color stitch marker for last, so don't use it yet. Then I'm going to purl 20 across the back. Another marker. I'm going to purl 4 again for the left sleeve. And I should have 1 stitch left. I'm going to use my contrast marker here to mark the end of my row or the beginning of my row, and I'm going to purl 1 more stitch. And that is our purl setup row, and you've got your sleeves marked. So this is the left front, the left sleeve. This is the back of the neck, and this is the right sleeve and the right front. So that kind of is the layout for where we're going with this. Next, we are going to knit an increase row. So we're going to turn our work to the knit side, the right side, and we're going to start working on our raglan increases. And those are the increases that come down from the sleeves in each direction that grow into the sweater. We're going to increase 1 stitch on each side of each marker. And we're going to be doing that by making 1 right, slipping the marker, knitting 1 stitch, and then making 1 left. And we're still going to be knitting flat, so don't join your work yet. You're going to knit to your first marker, and then we're going to make 1 right. We're going to look for the bar between the 2 stitches and lift it from the back to the front, and then we're going to knit through the front of that stitch to make 1 right. Then we're going to slip the marker, knit 1 stitch, and then we're going to look for the bar again. This time we're going to lift it from the front to the back, and then we're going to knit through the back to make 1 left. And now we've increased 1 stitch on each side of that first marker. Now we're going to knit to our next marker, and you knit all the way up to it and stop. Now we're going to make 1 right again. So we are going to look for the bar again and lift it from the back to the front and knit through the front to make 1 right. Slip the marker, knit 1 as usual, and then we're going to look for the bar again, and we're going to go front to back, knit through the back to make 1 left. So now we've done our increases for those first 2 markers. I somehow lost this. I'm going to knit across the back stitches. This is the back of the neck to the next marker. And then we're going to do this again. We're going to make 1 right. We're going to lift up the bar from back to front, knit through the front, slip the marker, knit 1. This bar we're going to go front to back, knit through the back. Sometimes it's hard to squish in there. And then we've made that increase. Knit to the next marker. This is our last one for this side. We're going to make 1 right, back to front, knit through the front, slip marker, and here we're going to find that bar, front to back, knit through the back. Sometimes it's tricky to get in there. Sometimes the needles are slippery. And then knit one. After all that, you should see that each one of your stitch markers should have an increased stitch on each side of it, and your beginning and end of your needles should have 2 stitches each. We're now going to turn our work and purl across for 1 row. Then we're going to turn our work again and repeat what we just did with the increased row. So we're going to knit to our first marker, make 1 right, slip the marker, knit 1, make 1 left, knit to the next marker, and you only do these increased rows on the right side, which is kind of easy. Your purl rows are always just a plain purl row. You don't have to increase on those sides, so it's kind of easier to remember where you are. I'm gonna make 1 right, slip marker, knit 1, make 1 left, knit across the back, we still are not joining in the round, by the way. This looks like it's connected. It is not connected. We are knitting flat to shape this, and this makes the back of the neck a little higher, so it will sit nicely on the back of your neck, and it rounds to the front to make it like a true crew neck, and that's the nice shaping that makes this fit better than like a boat neck type of sweater or something that's exactly the same on the back and the front. Sometimes those sweaters don't feel good to me, just the way they sit, so I like this better personally. Like a crew neck sweatshirt. It's exactly kind of the fit we're going for. All right, I've knitted to the next marker on the other side of the sleeves. I'm gonna make 1 right again. Slip the marker, knit 1, make 1 left again. This one's kind of tight, so I gotta squish in there. Knit to the next marker, and you can see this is growing just a little bit. That's the goal. Knit to the next marker. Whoops, make 1 right. Slip the marker, knit 1, make 1 left. And then we're gonna flip it again and do another purl row. So at this point, we have completed 4 rows, including our purl rows and that setup row. So now for all sizes, it's going to be time to begin the at the same time directions. Don't let this freak you out, but whenever you see at the same time in a pattern, you should stop and read everything in the pattern at this point, just so you don't miss any instructions, because you will be doing 2 or 3 things at the same time simultaneously. In this pattern, it is really simple because all we're doing is adding a couple neck stitches on each end of the needle to make this come around in a circle. And at the same time, we'll be doing these raglan increases, which we've already been doing, so that part's easy. We're just adding a couple stitches here and there according to your size directions, just at the ends of the needles, the first and the last. Just don't forget to do these increases at the same time. That is the key to getting this all to work together to get you to the point where we will join in the round with some neck stitches in the front. So we're going to turn our work to the right side, and this is the at the same time part of the directions. For my size, it's going to tell me to cast on a stitch at each end of needle. So I'm going to do that now. I just do like the backwards loop, cast on, which is kind of easy, but you can do anything you like. And then you just knit to the next marker. So seriously, that was the at the same time right there. I just added a stitch, and this is going to be the neck, the front neck. That's what we're building right there. So I'm going to knit to my marker just like I did before, nothing new there. And just, I'm going to keep doing my increases at the raglan markers. Make one right, slip marker, knit one, make one left, still not joining in the round, keeping it separate just for a little bit more. We'll get there though really soon. And you can see here between these two markers is a sleeve. This is growing into a sleeve, if you can imagine that. Knitting to the next marker, making one right, slipping the marker, knitting one, making one left, knitting across the back. You can see the little raglan stitches forming there. That's what you want to see. A little diagonal of V's. When you get to this last marker, don't forget we're doing at the same time, so we need to cast on one more stitch at the end as well. And once we have all of the stitches on the ends that we need for our size, we are eventually going to cast on some stitches right here for the front, and then we're going to join in the round, and then it's going to get a little bit easier and faster, in my opinion. And that will make the front of the crew neck. So we will be there in just a minute. Then we're going to turn our work and purl across again. So you're going to follow your directions for your size all the way through, and remember you are only increasing on the right side rows. Every other row you'll just be purling, and it hasn't taken long at all, and look, it's already grown into something that's kind of starting to look like something. But yeah, it should kind of look like a crescent right now. And then at your sleeves, it should kind of look like they're growing out with little raglan almost seams with little V's coming out each direction. And then after all the neck increases, I'm just going to skip ahead and pretend that I did all of those. It will be time to cast on your center front stitches here. And for my size, that number of stitches will be 6. So I'm going to, and this is when we get to join in the round, which is like, yay, finally. I just use the backward loop cast on. You can use a different one if you want. You can use the knitted cast on. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Easy, easy, easy. Now we finally get to join this in the round. So I'm going to, what I do, you don't have to do this, but I cross each stitch over each other So this first stitch I put on my left needle. This was the first stitch. I'm going to put it on my right needle. And then we can start knitting around. And at this point, after you have done all your at the same time increases, you can just, you'll be done and you can knit in the round and we won't have to do the next stitches anymore. The at the same time directions are over. And now from here on out, we will just be doing the rest of the raglan increases. So we're just going back to our markers and increasing at those places for as long as they tell you in the pattern. Now that we are working in the round, we will only be increasing every other round. And since we don't have a purl round anymore to keep track, you will have to kind of keep track of that on your own, either on a piece of paper or just take a look at your work and you can kind of sometimes tell where you just increased and where you didn't. And remember, this is your beginning of round marker, your contrast. So that's where that just passed because this is just the front of your neck now. This looks wonky, the neck, I know. This is going to look better at the very end. We're gonna come back and pick up all these stitches and make the ribbed, nice neckline. So don't worry if your neck looks a little strange right now because it's supposed to. Don't worry about that. We're just gonna build the body first and we'll come back and pick up those neck stitches later. But yeah, right now we're gonna knit around and then you're gonna continue following your raglan increases to the number of stitches that you are supposed to go to for your size. And that is a really good start, at least on your Simple Sweater Knit-Along. I hope this made sense. Please go check out my real actual videos that are for the Simple Sweater Knit-Along playlist because they're way better in my opinion and more in depth and they get all the little details that you shouldn't miss. So this is a fun thing to cast on together. And I was glad we could do this together and I'm excited to get my sweater going. This has seriously not taken long at all and look how far I've gone already. And so I hope this is going smoothly for you too. And I hope to do another video at the next point. The main thing we need to do together maybe is divide for the sleeves and body. So I think I'll make another video at that point in a couple weeks and just see how you guys are all doing by then. And until then, definitely check out my playlist to make sure you're not missing any step of the way. Go back and there are much shorter videos for each little step so you can rewind it until you get that step finished and then carry on. So thanks so much for casting on with me and knitting with me today. I hope your sweater goes really, really well. And thanks so much for watching.